Good evening, Roshan.
Okay. Last class we introduced the section for the self. Now let's have a short review about the key terms. Okay, we emphasize the mind level and the views we have on ourselves affect what we do, want, and buy. And different cultures focus on different level of self. Especially Eastern cultures focus on the collective self, interdependent self. On the contrast, Western cultures focus on the individual self, the independent self. Self-concept summarizes the beliefs a person holds about his or her own attributes and how he or she evaluates the self on these qualities. And we mainly emphasize the self-esteem as the positivity of a person's self-concept. And a person with different level of self-esteem will have a different behavioral patterns. And marketers can use ads to trigger social comparison to help consumers to buy through buying their products to improve the level of self-esteem. And we introduced the real and ideal selves. Products can help consumers reach ideal self or keep consistent with the actual self. Each of us is a number of different people, so we have multiple roles or multiple selves. Have a virtual self and social selves. We can looking into the glass and taking the role of the self to have a feeling of who am I, and what impression the others will have of us. So we have self-consciousness, awareness of a self. And we use the product to define the self. So there is an opinion. You are what you consume. And studies show that people use an individual's consumption behavior just to identify that person's social identity. We introduced the symbolic self-completion theory and the congruence between self and the product. Self-image congruence models, which we can use this equivalent. Product usage to some extent means self-image, to show who you are. And we introduce the gender differences and the body. Now we move to another point. Personality, lifestyles, and values. Internal influences on consumer behavior. So till now, as you can see, we introduced the perception, learning, memory, motivation, affect, the self. And now we move to personality, lifestyles, and values. All of these are the key internal influencing factors on consumer behavior. And today's topic is about personality, lifestyles, and values. And we should know that a consumer's personality influences the way he or she responds to marketing stimuli. But efforts to use this information, use the consumer's personality in marketing contexts, meet with mixed results. Brands have personalities, so we buy products with specific brands which are consistent with ourselves, especially match our personalities. Lifestyle defines a pattern of consumption that reflects a person's choices of how to spend his or her time and money. And these choices are essential to define consumer identity. Their lifestyle marketing strategy. And psychographics go beyond simple demographics to help marketers understand and reach different consumer segments, which we can rely on the lifestyle. One of the segmenting rules. And the underlying values often drive consumer motivations. So we can see the values affect motivation, and then motivation may influence the consumer's attitude, and then the behavioral intention, and so have some effect on actual behavior, consumer behavior. Okay, so first of all, we can introduce the terms personality. Each one maybe has its own personalities. A consumer's personality influences the way he or she responds to marketing stimuli. In terms of a personality, it refers to a person's unique psychological makeup and how it consistently influences the way a person responds to his or her environment. So as you can see, the influence is consistent. So it has somewhat steady influences on consumer behavior. And as to the personality, we can draw upon the theories from psychology, and Freudian is a very famous psychologist, proposed that much of one's adult personality stems from a fundamental conflict between a person's desire to gratify his or her physical needs and the necessity to function as a responsible member of a society. And he proposed that there were three systems in our mind. The first one is ID. The second one is supergo. The third one is ego. So, let's see. So here, the ID is about immediate gratification, and it is the party animal of the mind. It operates according to the pleasure principle. It is our basic desire to maximize pleasure and avoid pain guides our behavior. So the idea is selfish and illogical. It directs a person's psychic energy toward pleasurable acts without any regard for consequences. The superego is the counterweight to the ID. Essentially, the person's conscience internalizes society's rules and tries to prevent the ID from seeking selfish gratification. While the ego is the system mediates between the ID and the superego. Basically, a referee in the flight between temptation and virtue. Tries to balance these opposing forces according to the reality principle. It finds ways to gratify the idea that the outside world will find acceptable. And how is Freud's work related to consumer behavior? You can see it highlights the potential importance of unconscious motives that guide our purchases. So the consumers cannot necessarily tell us the true motivation when they choose products, even if we can devise a sensitive way to ask them directly. The Freudian perspective often raises the possibility that the ego relies on the symbolic in products to compromise between the demands of the ID and the probation of the superego. So there is the connection between the product symbolism and the motivation. So we buy the product which can stand for a consumer's true goal. The person experiences the forbidden fruit. For marketers, there are some implications based on the Freudian theory. Unconscious motives underlying purchases will be very helpful for marketers to dig out to meet the underlying needs. And using the symbolism of products to attract consumers, to compromise the ID and the superego. And there are also many researches based on this Freudian theory. Because Freudian ideas unlock deeper product and advertisement meanings, which are the motivational research. Purpose of a motivational research to understand the deep meanings of products and advertisements. It usually take the form of in-depth interviews. And to find the latent motives for purchases. Here is the list of motivations and the associated products. Now you can have a look at this relationship, motive, and the corresponding associated products. Okay, 5 minutes to read this information here and understand the relationship between the motives and the products.
Okay. I have a question.
This is adapted from interpreting consumption symbolism.
Lauscher. I had a question about the association in America. Just I wrote in the chat, in America, they often try to change association, especially in gender-related things. Is it possible to work in China or not for cultural difference?
Actually, here we talk about the motives with somewhat from the perspective of our personality, and personality usually has a steady nature. So it can, especially after and out more than 30 years old. So adults will have more steady personalities, and maybe there are some differences between different gender, but on the whole, the personalities are very steady.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. The previous researches shows inconsistent results or mixed results using motivational research. For example, it is invalid or works too well. Sometimes it is too sexually best. But there are a lot of appeals. A great appeal for marketers, because it is the less expensive to conduct than conducting large-scale surveys. because motivational research usually use in-depth interview. And in-depth interview needs just several interviewees. And it has powerful hook for promotional strategy. Because it can provide deep-seated needs through the interviews, through the motivational research to dig out the underlying motives to buy some products. And it can usually get intuitively plausible findings. So if you are interested in motivational research, you can search for more articles to read through. And there are other theories influenced by Freud's work. Another theory is trait theory. This approach to personality focused on the quantitative measurement of personality traits, which we define as the identifiable characteristics defines a person. Traits relevant to consumer behavior include innovativeness, materialism, self-consciousness, need for cognition, and frugality. Frugality means frugal people deny short-term purchasing whims. They choose instead to resourcefully use what they already own. And there are very famous the Big Five. The Big Five. Big Five personality traits. The most widely recognized approach to measuring personality traits, also known as New Personality Inventory. This is a set of 5 dimensions that form the basis of a personality, which includes openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, or emotional instability. And till today, there are many researchers using the measurement of a Big Five personality dimensions to explore the effect on consumer behavior. And now we can have a look at the definitions, the description, and example of measurement items. You can find the measurement scale from previous previous studies, previous academic paper, and from, let's see if we have the measurement scales. No, do not have. You can go to the academic papers to find out the measurement scale for big 5 personality traits. And openness to experience means the degree to which a person is open to new ways of doing things, which is like the innovativeness. The example of measurement items, agree or disagree, using Likert scale. Love to think up new ways of doing things. Conscientiousness means the level of organization and structure a person needs. Conscientiousness. Am always prepared. Organization. Extroversion. How well a person tolerates stimulation from people. Talk to a lot of different people at parties. Extroversion. Agreeableness, the degree to which we refer to or we defer to other people. Take time out for others. Neuroticism, how well a person copes with stress. Get upset easily. But there are some problems with this kind of trait theory. For example, scales not valid or reliable, test borrow scales used for the mentally ill, inappropriate testing conditions, ad hoc instrument changes, use of global measures to predict specific brand purchases, and so on. But we can apply this approach to segment markets. And today, some of the brands borrow personality traits of individuals or groups to convey an image they want customers to form of them, which we call it brand personality, which refers to a set of traits people attribute to a product as if it were a person, or trait to a brand. It's increasingly common for marketers to think carefully about personality as they embrace the communications approach known as brand storytelling. And this perspective emphasizes the importance of giving a product a rich background to involve customers in its history or experience. Brand storytelling is based on the tradition of read-response theory, widely accepted. Focus on the role of the reader in interpreting a story. A product that creates and communicates a distinct brand personality stands out from its competition and inspires years of loyalty. Distinct. distinctive brand personality. The term brand equity is the extent to which a consumer holds strong, favorable, and unique associates with a brand in memory, and the extent to which he or she is willing to pay more for the branded version than for a non-branded version. And the next point, lifestyle. A lifestyle defines a pattern of consumption, reflecting a person's choices of how he or she spends time and money. You can think about the way you spend your time and money to figure out the lifestyle. Or you can figure out your classmate's lifestyle, judging from his or her expenditure on his or her time and money. From the perspective of lifestyle marketing, people sort themselves into groups on the basis of what they like to do, how they spend leisure time, how they spend disposable income. I think we have introducing example here shows that different way they spend their time, and we can see Jackie and Hank marvel at how different they're from Rose, one of their colleagues. Content to spend her downtime watching sappy old movies or actually reading books. While the two guys, fancies himself a bit of a daredevil, plans to blow his bonus on a thrill-seeking trip to Colorado, and surfing. Online resource for women who surf. So they're spending their time their later time on different things. So how can their tasks so different? Somewhat explains the different lifestyles. Actually, these are their choices. They choose how to spend their time and how to spend their money. And we make choices every day, and often to quite similar people in terms of basic categories, such as gender, age, income, and place of residence, still prefer to spend their time and money in markedly different ways. And for marketers, they can target specific lifestyles. For we have different types of magazines, for example, sport or movie or fashion or other later sports and so on. And a lifestyle is much more than how we allocate our discretionary income. It is a statement about who one is in society and who one is not. So lifestyles can be used as group identities. It refers to forms of expressive symbolism. Social scientists use a number of terms to describe such self-definitions in addition to lifestyle, including test public, consumer group, symbolic community, status culture. And a goal of lifestyle marketing is to allow consumers to pursue their chosen ways to enjoy their lives and express their social identities. For this reason, a key aspect of this strategy is to focus on people who use products in desirable social settings. And the desire to associate a product with a social situation is the long-standing one for advertisers. As you can see, people, products, and settings combine to express a consumption lifestyle. So we can link in products to lifestyles using these three factors: person, products, and the settings. How people use products to define lifestyles. We can see how they make choices in a variety of product categories. And we must look at patterns of behavior to understand the consumers. Many products and services do seem to go together, usually because the same types of people tend to select them. So there are co-branding strategies. Brands team up with other companies to promote their products. Understand this. Or they use product complementarity. Symbolic meanings of different products relate to one another. So an important part of lifestyle marketing is to identify the set of products and services that consumers associate with the specific lifestyle. I think there must be some. Anyway, co-branding strategy is very popular today. And we can see can you think of some examples for co-branding?
Basically, local branding is tea. Tea's brand
Co-branding and gym.
of tea, cha.
More.
Now, I basically mentioned from local brands from my countries. who works only in progress market. It's example Shoro, clothes brands and food brands.
Yes, many examples.
So just very good to remember names. Example Hello Tea or Nature. I don't remember.
There are many outdoor sports, outdoor products.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
Do you know some international companies who try to invite in China, but it has some rename, rebranding, and is changed and begin to be a local company?
Huh?
For example, if Starbucks come here, but we know it's like Starbucks, but if in China it's begin to be not very popular and just make a rebranding and it's imagined like it's local company.
You mean to international company?
Yeah,
In China has local company.
yeah, I mean just international company just rebranding in China. It's still international, but it seems like a local company.
Hmm. There were many. I'm not sure they have the totally local ones, but they usually has local branches.
And
And there are many foreign companies. The top 500 enterprises has the headquarters in China.
mm-hmm.
For example, in Shanghai, there are Tesla, Apple. In Beijing, there are Microsoft, Amazon, Morgan, and Guangzhou. There are Baojie, how to say Baojie? Baojie. You know Baojie, P&G,
Yeah.
Procter and Gamble.
Thank you.
China, the hot land for foreign investment. Now we move on. Psychographics. Psychographics refers to the use of psychological, sociological, and anthropological factors to determine market segments, determine their reasons for choosing products, and to offer fine-tune products to meet needs of different segments. Because in each sub-segment, sub-market, consumers can share the same demographics, psychographics, but consumers of the same demographics usually behave very different. And the psychographics are more stable to predict the consumer behavior. And it is the important segment rule for marketers to determine the market segments. Demographics allow us to describe who buys, but psychographics tells us why they buy. So in this perspective, we mainly refer to the lifestyle. Here is the psychographic segments of Best Buy. Best Buy segment their consumers into different groups, different segments. Jill, Buzz, Ray, BB4B, Barry. Jill refers to busy suburban mom who buys electronics for family. Buzz refers to focused, active younger male interested in buying latest gadgets. Ray refers to family man who likes his technology practical. Best Buy for business, often small employer. Barry, affluent professional male who dropped tens of thousands of dollars on a home theater system. So based on this segmentation, Best Buy can develop corresponding promotional strategies to attract the different segments and offer a variety of a range of products to meet the needs for each segment. And we can do a psychographic analysis based on the lifestyle profile, product-specific profile. And from the lifestyle profile, you can differentiate between users and non-users of a product. From the perspective, the product-specific profile can identify a target group and profiles consumers based on product-related dimensions. And general lifestyle segmentation places a large sample of respondents into a homogeneous groups based on similarities of preferences. Product-specific segmentation and tailor questions to a product category. And there are many approaches. Most popular is AIO. AIOs which means activities, interests, and opinions. Marketers can group consumers according to these three aspects. And lifestyle segments produce the bulk of customers, heavy users, and the benefits they derive from product. So using data from large samples, marketers create profiles of customers, resemble each other in terms of their activities and patterns of product usage. So the first step is to determine which lifestyle segments yield the bulk of customers for a particular product. And in many cases, only one or a few lifestyle segments account for the majority of sales. And psychographic techniques can be helpful for marketers to identify these heavy users. And they can better understand how they relate to the brand and the benefits they derive from it. And there are other approaches to measure lifestyles. International values, VALS, is a segmentation methodology. Can be used to gain deeper consumer insights, and can be useful for country-specific strategy, marketing planning, and communication strategies. We can segment the consumers into different categories, for example, innovators, strugglers, thinkers, achievers, experiencers. And this is the values too. And there are different editions for different country. Here illustrates the UK values. UK values categorize consumers into one of 6 core groups based on primary motivation, tradition, achievement, and self-expression, and resources, high or low, and innovation. Activators, open to change, new ideas, and products. Traditionalists, primary conservative, and prefer to manage social change by reassessing new ideas based on tried and tested ones with established standards and ethical codes. Achievers base their accomplishments on hard work and professional pursuits. Seekers prefer individuality, self-discovery, and action. They seek self-gratification, excitement, and sociability. Pragmatics play safe, do not want to steer away from their peer group. Constraints tend to stick to familiar things and the past. So these are the lifestyles. And the last point, values. A value is a belief that some condition is preferable to its opposite. There are usually a set of values. A person's set of values plays an important role in consumption activities. Sometimes a consumer purchase products and services because they believe that these products will help to attain a value-related goal. And we seek others share our values and beliefs. And we tend to be exposed to information that supports our beliefs. Two people can believe in and exhibit the same behavior, for example, vegetarianism, but their underlying belief system may be quite different. For example, animal activism or health concerns. So we tend to be exposed. The extent to which people share a belief system is a function of individual, social, and cultural forces. Values are universal, and there are universal values all through the world. And in different cultures, under different cultural context, there are different core values. What sets cultures apart is relative importance. Ranking of these universal values. Universal values such as wisdom, world peace, health, and so on. And this set of rankings constitutes a culture's value system. Enculturation means learning the beliefs and values of one's own culture. Enculturation means learning the value system and behaviors of another culture. And now we have many forms of cultural communications between different countries, different cultures, and there are many culture export to influence consumers in different countries. We can use values to explain consumer behavior. But we should know that values haven't helped us to understand consumer behavior as much as we might expect, because cultures have terminal values or desired end states. And usually we use instrumental values in survey, and actions needed to achieve the terminal states. Self-controlled wisdom. Some aspects of a brand image, such as sophistication, tend to be common across cultures, but others are more likely to be relevant in specific places. Values derive much of consumer behavior. We might say that virtually all consumer research ultimately relates to identifying and measuring values. Actually, instrumental values and terminal values are two different sets of values. There are many approaches. Here mentions the list of values. Scale. List of values scale isolates values with more direct marketing applications. Identifies 9 consumer segments based on values they endorse and relates each value to differences. Let's see. These segments include consumers who place priorities on such values as a sense of belonging, excitement, warm relationship with others, and security. People who endorse the sense of belonging value are older and more likely to read a specific TV program, drink and entertain more, prefer group activities more than people who do not endorse this value. Who endorse the value of excitement are younger and prefer a Rolling Stone magazine. Other approach, like the means and chain model, link specific product attributes to terminal values. And there are technique Rendering uncovers consumers' associations between specific attributes and these general consequences. Help consumers climb up the ladder, connects functional product attributes with desired end states. And the syndicated service. In the International Values Survey, we can incorporate the surveys on values. Okay, so these are the main contents today. Focus on personality, lifestyles, and values. And we introduced the relevant theories and approaches for each point. Now we can have a summary. Yes. We mainly introduced the personality, consumer's personality, and the brand personality, and the lifestyle. Using lifestyle, especially psychographics, to segment consumers and to explore the underlying values that drive consumer motivations. This is the basic ideas about this topic. Now we okay, let's have a short break. 10 minutes break now. Okay.
给我是
Let's come back and we use the videos to show the main points today: personality, lifestyle, and values.
To to a person's unique psychological makeup and how it consistently influences the way a person responds to his or her environment. The famous psychologist Sigmund Freud proposed that much of one's adult personality stems from a fundamental conflict between a person's desire to gratify his or her physical needs and the necessity to function as a responsible member of society. So how is Freud's work relevant to consumer behavior? In particular, it highlights the potential importance of unconscious motives that guide our purchases. In this view, people channel their unacceptable desire into acceptable outlets when they use products that signify these underlying desires. This is the connection between product symbolism and motivation. The product stands for or represents a consumer's true goal, which is socially unacceptable or unattainable. By acquiring the product, the person vicariously experiences the forbidden fruit. Carl Jung was one of Freud's disciples. Jung believed that the cumulative experiences of past generations shape who we are today. He proposed that we each share a collective unconscious, a storehouse of memories we inherit from our ancestors. These shared memories create archetypes, or universally recognized ideas and behavior patterns. Archetypes involve themes such as birth, death, or the devil that appear frequently in myths, stories, and dreams. Jung's ideas may seem a bit far-fetched, but advertising messages do in fact often include archetypes. For example, some of the archetypes Jung and his followers identified include the old wise man and the Earth Mother. These images appear frequently in marketing messages that feature characters such as wizards, revered teachers, or even Mother Nature. Our culture's current infatuation with stories such as Harry Potter or The Lord of the Rings speaks to the power of these images, to say nothing of the wizard who helps you repair your laptop. Here's another way personality is important to marketers. Thousands of brands borrow personality traits of individuals or groups to convey an image they want customers to form of them. A brand personality is the set of traits people attribute to a product as if it were a person. It's increasingly common for marketers to think carefully about brand personality as they embrace the communications approach known as brand storytelling. This perspective emphasizes the importance of giving a product a rich background to involve customers in its history or its experience. This approach recognizes that the consumer does not just want to listen to a manufactured set of details. He or she wants to participate in the story by filling in the blanks. Anthropomorphism refers to the tendency to attribute human characteristics to objects or animals. We may think about a cartoon character or a mythical creation as if it were a person and even assume that it has human feelings. Again, consider familiar spokes characters such as Chester Cheetah from Cheetos, the Keebler Elves, or the Michelin Man, or the frustration some people feel when they come to believe their computer is conspiring to make them crazy. What is your brand story or personality? If you have trouble answering this question, it may be time to take a closer look at your branding strategy. A lifestyle describes how a person chooses to spend his time and money. These choices are crucial for marketers to understand, especially since just knowing your customers' demographics, like gender, income, and age, don't tell you the full story. Two 40-year-old women who both make $100,000 a year don't necessarily overlap at all when we look at how they spend their time and money. We get a clearer picture of how people use products to define lifestyles when we see how they make choices in a variety of product categories. And we do that by looking at their patterns of behavior. So, an important part of lifestyle marketing is to identify the set of products and services that consumers associate with a specific lifestyle. It's not any one choice that defines your customers, but rather the set of products, activities, and beliefs they exhibit that allow you to paint a complete picture of just who these people are. The meshing of objects from many different categories to express a single lifestyle ideal is at the heart of many consumption decisions, such as coordinating an outfit for a big date or decorating a room. Many people today evaluate products not just in terms of function, but also in terms of how well their design coordinates with other objects and furnishings. Marketers who understand these cross-category relationships may pursue co-branding strategies, where they team up with other companies to promote two or more items. As a marketer, you want to understand these cross-category relationships so you can take advantage of co-branding strategies to team up with other products that mesh with your customers' lifestyles. Marketers often find it useful to develop products that appeal to different lifestyle subcultures. When they combine personality variables with knowledge of lifestyle preferences, they have a powerful lens they can focus on consumer segments. It's common to create a fictional profile of a core customer who inspires product design and communications decisions. For example, the founder of the popular clothing company Lululemon relied on a profile that he made up. A 32-year-old professional single woman named Ocean who makes $100,000 a year. He described Ocean as engaged, has her own condo, is traveling, fashionable, has an hour and a half to work out a day. Psychographics involves the use of psychological, sociological, and anthropological factors to segment a market. Demographics allow us to describe who buys, but psychographics tells us why they do. Most contemporary psychographic research attempts to group consumers according to some combination of three categories of variables: activities, interests, and opinions, which we call AIOs for short. Using data from large samples, you can create profiles of customers who resemble each other in terms of their activities and patterns of product usage. These profiles are incredibly helpful when you want to figure out how to reach new customers. For example, this may be as easy as targeting Facebook users who have designated interests that are the same as those your current customers tend to select. Lifestyles are important because demographics tell us who buys, but psychographics tells us why. We live
Okay. And there are some further readings. After the class, I'll share them into our region group. And now we can check the titles. Brands as product coordinators, matching brands make joint consumption experience more enjoyable. The role of a brand personality in charitable giving. Lifestyles and consumption patterns. A classic paper published in 1982. A Wonderful Life, Experimental consumption and pursuit of happiness. Shades of green, linking environmental locus of control and pro-environmental behavior. Values on green consumption behavior. Okay. And now we go to a former article that I shared in our WeChat group. I'm not sure how many students have read this article. And now let's check it together. This article published on Science, the very top academic journal. Spending money on others promotes happiness. This is the title. And the whole article is very short. It's very short. But there are many supporting material. We can search on the website, especially their data, their methods, material and methods, and references. Okay, and now we have a short look at this article. The abstract. Although much research has examined the effect of income on happiness, we suggest that how people spend their money may be at least as important as how much money they earn. Specifically, we hypothesized that spending money on other people may have a more positive impact on happiness than spending money on oneself. Providing converging evidence for this hypothesis, we found that spending more of one's income on others predicted greater happiness, both cross-sectionally and longitudinally. Finally, participants who were randomly assigned to spend money on others experienced greater happiness than those assigned to spend money on themselves. And at the very beginning, the authors use a question: can money buy happiness? And a literature review on previous study. Income has a reliable but surprisingly weak effect on happiness. And how do Whether and how disposable income might be used to increase happiness is an emerging challenge. The potential for money to increase happiness may be subverted by the kind of choices that thinking about money promotes. The mere thought of having money makes people less likely to help acquaintances, to donate to charity, or to choose to spend time with others. Precisely the kinds of behaviors that are strongly associated with happiness. Although thinking about money may drive people away from pro-social behavior, money can also provide a powerful vehicle for accomplishing such pro-social goals. So the relationship between spending money and pro-social behavior. And we suggest that using money in this fashion, investing income in others, rather than oneself, may have measurable benefits for one's own happiness. And then their studies. Initial test of the relation between spending choices and happiness. Asked a nationally representative sample of 632 Americans to rate their general happiness, to report their annual income, to estimate how much they spend in a typical month on bills and expenses, gifts for themselves, gifts for others, donations to charity. The first two categories were summed to create the index of personal spending. And the latter two categories were calculated to create an index of pro-social spending. Entering the personal and pro-social spending indices simultaneously into a regression, predicting general happiness, revealed that personal spending was unrelated to happiness. The standardized regression coefficient is non-significant, but higher pro-social spending was associated with significantly greater happiness. When we included income, we found that the effects of income and pro-social spending were independent and similar in magnitude. You can see judging from the coefficient. Personal spending remained related to happiness. So this is the correlation nature. Provides initial evidence that how people spend their money may be as important for their happiness as how much money they earn and his income. Spending money on others might represent a more effective route to happiness than spending on oneself. In the discussion, if this interpretation is correct, then people who receive an economic windfall should experience greater happiness after receiving the windfall if they spend it on others rather than themselves, even contributing for happiness before the windfall. Then we tested this prediction by examining the happiness of 16 employees before and after they received a profit sharing bonus from their company. 1 month before, the employees reported their general happiness and their annual income. 6 to 8 weeks after receiving the bonus, participants again reported their general happiness and then reported what percentage of their bonus they had spent on the first three: personal spending, the fourth and fifth pro-social spending. And enter time 1 happiness and hour 2 spending indices into a regression predicting time 2. Happiness revealed that social spending was the only significant predictor of happiness at time 2. With income included, not significant. The effect of pro-social spending remained significant. When controlling for bonus amount, the pro-social spending effect was significant, which means employees who devoted more of their bonus to pro-social spending experienced a greater happiness after receiving the bonus. And this is a longitudinal evidence. Based on the above two studies, demonstrated the causal impact of pro-social spending using experimental methodology. Participants rated their happiness in the morning and then were given an envelope that contained either $5 or $20, which they were asked to spend by 5 o'clock p.m. that day, randomly assigned to the personal spending condition, instructed to spend the money on a bill and expense or a gift for themselves, while other group, pro-social spending condition, on a gift for someone else and a charitable donation. And by the time the participants again reported their happiness and submitted post-wonderful happiness to a 2x2 between subject and cover. Here, pre-wonderful happiness included as a covariate. This revealed a significant main effect for spending instructions. Spending pro-social reported greater happiness than personal spending. The man of wonderful size and the interaction effect are not significant. So these results provide direct support for our causal argument that spending money on others promotes happiness more than spending money on self. But till now, it's not finished. The authors has more investigations. Intentional activities may represent a more promising route than, despite the observable benefits of a pro-social, our participants spend relatively little on pro-social ends. Participants in our national survey reported spending investing more than 10 times as much money for personal as for social spending. Findings suggest very minor alterations in spending allocations may be sufficient to produce non-trivial gains in happiness. Why don't people make these small changes? We provide descriptions of these 4 experimental conditions from our final study, and ask them to select the condition that make up happiness. Revealed that participants were doubly wrong about the impact of money on happiness. A significant majority thought that personal spending would make them happier than social spending. Make them happier than $20 would make them happier than $5. Why? Because appear to overlook the benefits of a pro-social spending. So, policy interventions promote pro-social spending may be worthwhile in the service of translating increased national wealth into increased national happiness. Okay, so these are the whole of the article, which is very suitable for today's topic. And if you are very interested in this topic, you can find more articles. Happiness, research on happiness. Okay, and I hope that this article will guide you guys to do consumer behavior research using a set of methods and to test your hypothesis on one specific question. Okay, and after class, I hope that you guys can review this article by yourself and find more interesting points.
Yeah, of course. Noted.
Yeah, do you have a question?
No question. Just thought it's it's good then for topic, a good topic for research.
Okay. This is a very good illustration, actually. Okay, so much for today. And at the last minute, I will emphasize that till now I only received several weekly responses work from you guys, and other students who didn't submit the weekly responses assignments, please be quick. Okay, submit it as soon as possible after class. Okay, see you next time.
Okay, thank you, Ocean. See you.
Thank you.